Communication 301. We're going to talk much more about phone calls with college coaches tonight. Class game plan. We're going to answer a few questions here. Why is it important to call coaches? When can you call coaches? Which coach should you call when you are reaching out? How to coach's phone number, the best practices for successful phone calls. We'll talk a little bit more about like different questions to ask and be prepared for, and then go over some follow-up procedures before your conversations as well. We'll questions after we go through a few of these questions here and topics of discussion. I will take questions at the end of the call and kind of open it up to the class. First of all, why is it important to call coaches? First and foremost, coaches can get hundreds of emails every week. I always tell my athletes, they can have 50, 60 emails in a week, probably a couple hundred each month. So it's important to kind of realize that your email can definitely get caught in the shuffle. A coach could put it in the trash. They could just skip over it in general. So this is where a phone call, it's a little bit more personal to the coach. You can build a relationship. It's a way to separate yourself, gauge a coach's interest. You can get questions asked and answered directly. So there's a lot of benefits from picking up and dialing out to a coach, especially if they give you a business card. They put contact information at the bottom of an email, a general email, or a personal email. So a lot of benefits from actually picking up and dialing out. Would you call a coach? There's really never any restrictions on communication from an athlete to a coach. Again, from an athlete to a coach, there aren't any restrictions. If you call, they can answer. You guys can talk about anything. One coaches, if they miss you call, they can call you back on September 1st of your junior year for most sports. Football, let's call April 15th and 31st, and then once starting one. For men's basketball, it's June 15th after sophomore year. For D2, it's June 15th after sophomore year as well. There's no restrictions for outgoing calls for D3 and NAIA programs. Most calls are going to happen really after your junior year and then throughout your senior year as well. That's just from a timeline perspective. D3 and NAIA schools, they tend to recruit more of the upperclassmen. They're making that transition from junior to senior year. Time to call. And right in the morning, 8 to 9, which school's getting started here, that might not be a good time for you. So then you do 12 to 3, which they're still in school, but right after practice would be the time for you guys to call. A good way to set up a call is just emailing the coach or DMing the coach on Twitter, saying, can we set up a phone call for 7:30 or 8 o'clock? I'm available these specific days this week. I'm available at the specific time, and go ahead and set up an actual time with them rather than just kind of cold calling them. You call coaches that you exchange multiple personal emails with if you have a good going, and especially if they've provided a cell phone or an office number, make sure to pick up and dial out, or again set up a phone call and then dial out to them with the agreed upon date and time. It has indicated that you should set up a visit. This is just a good way to finalize plans. Just say, hey, coach, is there anything that I need to bring on this visit? Are we still on for this date and this time? Where do we need to meet? Is there an itinerary? Those are good things to ask about and just finalize the plans for. Any coach that came to evaluate you at a competition, for fall, any coach that you talked with over the summer and you got contact from, make sure that those that you're following up with the phone call. Included a phone number in the body of a generic email to an underclassman. If there are any underclassmen here, 2021, and beyond that, if due to NCAA rules, we can't contact you with specific recruiting materials. However, you can give us a call at any time, and they provide a number. That means they're interested. That means they have taken a look at you. They'd love to get in contact with you. but due to NCAA rules, they're not allowed to. They want you to reach out because remember that one kind of loophole, there's never a restriction from an athlete to a coach. So reply to that email, just tell them when you're going to call and then that you're going to be calling from. So they know you and they can be expecting your call at that specific time. So if you've gone through an evaluation session, if you're a recruiting coach here at NCSA, any school that's on the target list, you might want to pick out and dial right now at this time. You want to start out with emails or DMs and things like that. As you progress throughout the season, start setting up game day visits or campus visits. Certainly as it gets later into the process, January, February, if you still haven't gotten that offer or got the coaches to respond back to you and you still have their number, maybe be a little bit more aggressive and pick up the number and call. So any programs on your target list, maybe that you haven't heard from in a while, pick up the phone and dial out. All right, coach's number. I did just put a sequence on here for you guys. We're going to take Carnegie Mellon University, for example, here. All you have to do is pull up a Google search. From there, it's mostly be one of the first links that pops up. So you'll click on Carnegie Mellon's University Athletic homepage. From there, that second picture, what you can go to for really any school is the Inside Athletics section. And in that section, there's going to be a link that says Staff Directory. It's going to have a list of the coaches. Sometimes they have the office, the cell numbers. Some schools put the Twitter information in there, but that's going to have a list of the coaches and administration for you to obviously give them a phone call. Now, it may just be the office number, so you may have to leave a voicemail, but again, you remember for a coach, you've gotten a business card, something like that, use that number instead. It's a little bit more personal. But if you don't have any of that type of information, this is kind of square one for you, and you're looking to call a coach, get into that staff directory, find the number from there, which is that third picture there. I know it's a little smaller in regards to font here. I don't think I can make it bigger, but that third screen there will show you the staff directory. It starts out with the administration. You just find your sport, find the coach. It has their contact info there. All right, so practices for calling a coach. First and foremost, be confident. You wouldn't go out on the baseball diamond or the football field or go out track if you weren't confident in yourself. Maybe to display that confidence in your conversations, in your interactions with coaches. You need to believe that you're the best fit for the program. If you're going to get the coach to feel the same way. So it starts with confidence. Now, confidence can come from preparation. Be prepared, which is that second point there. Do your research on the team and school. If you go into a conversation or if you go into a test, in school and you haven't studied, probably going to test where same type of deal here. If you get that conversation, you don't know anything about the school, anything about the program, the team, and the coach is going to ask you some of those questions. That just makes you look like you're unprepared, not really interested. So make sure to have notes in front of you, the record, maybe some times, track field if you have some times of their athletes, of what they're running. Maybe it's who they play, what conference they're in. Just have a basic understanding of who the university or the college is. Answers to common questions. So if your GPA, your test scores, height, weight, who you're playing this upcoming week, those are all common questions that may be asked. Have answers to those. If you don't have answers or know off the top of your head, write down on that piece of paper on the notes, just so you have it in front of you if a coach asks. Be relaxed. College coaches are normally going to take the lead. They're trying to sell you as well. They're trying to impress you, but they also want to make you feel comfortable. So they're going to be asking the questions. You just have to, again, be prepared and be confident in responses. Smart talking. It's going to stay more relaxed. It's going to basically help you sound more upbeat rather than sound like a bump on a log. And it's going to just help with a little bit of that personality, and that is something that coaches do like to evaluate: personality, character, that type of stuff, rather than somebody who's a little bit more selfish or just gives one-word answers. It's not good chemistry or good locker room talk to bring into their program. So they want a person who's going to be positive, upbeat, bring some energy into their school or university. A few things here: be positive, never speak poorly about your teammates or coaches. That's, again, getting into the character. Even if there is something that's negative that can be said, make sure to refrain from it. You want to impress the coach, and if you're talking poorly to your high school coach or about your teammates, again, that could carry into their locker room. So it's just something that always be positive, put a positive spin on it, and never ever speak negative or poorly about anybody in the organization. Be engaged in the conversation. Again, don't just give those yes or no answers. Be sure to have questions prepared to ask the coach that you would like to know. A coach says, hey, do you plan on visiting university here in the next couple months? Don't just say no. Say, coach, I haven't planned on it. I would love to go on to a visit. Do you have any dates that are available in September, October? I'd love to come watch you guys compete. Make sure you're turning those questions in, maybe to a question that you had with the coach, or turn it into requesting more information from that coach about a certain event that's coming. So, and don't be short with your answers. Make sure to expand on your answers, or answer their question with another question. So, have documentation available. Be sure to have notes on the program specifically. Again, record where the school is located, conference. It's your major, maybe it's your academics. Just have notes. From there, have your transcript, your GPA, your test scores. If you are registered with the NCAA Eligibility Center, have your ID number with you. Any stats, accomplishments, have all of those available, so if a coach asks about anything, you can send it right over to them after that phone call. Now, if you have to track down a transcript, have to track your test scores or something like that, that's okay. But you should have, especially for seniors, you should have all of that together right now as you're heading into senior year, because these types of situations are coming up very soon in September, October, November, especially for football with the season beginning and fall sports. I'm going to have all that information together just in case a coach is asking about it. So here's a list of questions that coaches might ask you. How are you doing in school? Got to be able to recruit a solid student athlete. That's why they put student first. What are you thinking about majoring in? Pretty general, pretty easy to answer as long as you've been thinking about what you want to major in. Why school interests you? This is where the notes come into play. Maybe it's location, maybe it's the school's competitive and competing for national titles. It could be a number of different things, but have some notes in front of you. Working for in a school. Have that question to kind of sink in with that question number 3 there about what the school is to, what you're looking for in a school, and why you're reaching out to that coach or calling the coach. Those should both match up, or else you're just wasting the coach's time. If you're looking and they don't offer engineering, probably not going to that school. What schools are you looking at, and what other schools are recruiting you? Make sure you're open and honest here. This is where you can start a little bit of leverage with another school, especially if it's interconference or some division level, same type of opportunity. You can create a little bit of leverage here by telling them what schools recruiting you. You may be taking visits to, different things like that. So make sure you're open and honest there. Have you visited our campus? Do you plan to visit? We talked a little bit about that already. What's your strength as a player? Just ask my guys on our evaluation sessions here we do at NCSA. Get a lot of I don't know, or a lot of general answers, speed and strength. That's a lot of people, a lot of athletes want to improve on, but make sure again to expand on that. What's your strength as a player? Well, my speed, because when I get into open space, I can outrun trailing defenders. I can make a move in space and turn a 5-yard gain into a 20-yard gain. Make sure to expand on those questions. What's your biggest weakness, and how are you addressing it? Strength. Say that you're working out 4 times a week, or you're doing legs 2 times a week, you're doing stretches, you're increasing flexibility. Could be a number of different things, but just go over your game plan on how you're addressing that. And then schedule will look like. Questions you might ask a coach athletically: what are key positions you're looking to fill? That's a question to interest they're going to have in you, if that's even a position that they are recruiting in your grad year. How many players are you recruiting at my position? Yeah, it may be a big need, but are you the number 1 or are you the number 5? Are you going to be first to get a scholarship offer, or are they going to wait and at those first couple get the scholarship offer? Are you going to be a walk-on? So I want to know how many they're recruiting at your position, what type of play you look for at the position that you're playing, recruiting timeline, and when are you going to finish my grad class for 2019 guys going into this year? Likely D1, 1AAs, not a whole lot going on there. They're going to move on to 2020s, 2021s. We're 3 NAIA, probably recruiting in your senior year. So it's always good to get those timelines set up with coaches, and the only way to know how they're operating the recruiting process is to ask them what their timeline is. What's the style and philosophy? What's the today in the life like? This was always my favorite question, kind of getting insight, going through just a day, from wake up, do you go to class, do you go to work, when's practice, how long is practice, dinner, meetings, whatever it may be, what's a day in the life like in season and then off season. Technically, will my specific major interfere with my athletic schedule? What are the admissions requirements for an athlete? Does your program have a full-time academic advisor? Calls, do most of your players graduate in 4 years, and can the application fee be waived? So follow up with a coach. If you leave a voicemail, provide the most important information. That's your name, grad year, position, high school, and one of your best athletic accomplishments. All-state, conference player of the year, maybe some type of stat or a record. Make sure that on the voicemail, so they're like, hey, we need to call this athlete back. We need to get some film on them. Any previous contact, if again the coach to one of your events, you might coach at summer camp. Make sure to mention that, so the coach are and why you're following up, and let the coach know that you will follow up with another email, and then maybe call back at a specific time in that email. If you get a coach on the phone call, keep notes during the conversation of anything significant that you can refer to later on. Maybe it's we're going to be hosting visit days in October, November. Reach back out to me. Call a month later. Hey, coach, I just wanted to follow up, see if you have any visit days planned. Those dates, I'd love to get on campus. Keep those notes and keep every phone call with the coach separated as well. Maybe you can start an Excel spreadsheet just so you can keep it organized. Make sure you leave the call with an understanding of next steps. Did the coach suggest sending in film? Did the coach suggest getting on campus for a visit? First, when do you need to apply for school? Make sure you have an understanding of those next steps as you move forward. And then with a thank you email or letter, just thanking the coach of their time, and then go back to that next step that you're going to complete. Thanks, coach, for your time. It was great speaking with you. I'm definitely going to be putting my film together in the next couple of weeks to send out to you by mid-September. Something like that, pretty easy, pretty simple. Maybe, hey, I'm looking at my schedule. I see you're playing this team on this date. To get out to that game. Something like pretty simple, but you're following up with those next steps that you talked about with the coach. So at this time, if you guys do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I'll go ahead and stick around here for a few minutes and answer any questions that are out there. If you don't have questions for me, feel free to log off. Thanks for joining me tonight to talk about making phone calls to coaches, but enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. guys. Well, I'm going to put things down here for tonight. Again, thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. I was a college athlete. Yes, I was. I played St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa. Played football myself. Tonight. Feel free to log off. Quarterback. Started my 4 years at Ambrose there, and then fortunate to the NFL. So stuck on coaching staff there at Ambrose for a few years, and been here say for a couple of years now. So. All right, I shut things down now. Thanks for questions, AJ, and enjoy your night, man.